Hey, welcome back everybody. Hey, welcome everybody, and for those new here, my name is Jamie and I am one of the volunteer ground crew with the F4 Phantom that is sitting right behind me. So I've definitely noticed a lot of you liked the video last week of this beauty taxiing under her own power, and that is awesome. Glad you guys enjoyed that. And it sucks that I had to miss that because I had to work that day. So part of what I do for a living is I do a lot of electrical work on backup power systems, and just got done with a major repair on a UPS, and we're load banking it. That is in this picture here, it's this machine is pulling 900 kW, and there's a combined 3,000 amps on those blue cables on this machine. So a lot of electricity going through those cables. All right, so if you guys notice behind me, the jet is actually up on jacks right now. We are getting ready to swing the landing gear later today because we have to finish rigging one of the doors on the right main gear. That's the gear that we had to replace, I think, early last year because the leak that the original strut had. Being that there's a lot of you that are new to the channel, I want to cover a lot of common questions that I catch in the comments, especially when a video really takes off on me. So without further ado, let's see what we got. And I love it when this thing's up on jacks. I get to walk underneath it. All right, biggest question. Did Colonel Olds ever fly this airplane? No, we have no record that he ever flew this airplane. This particular Phantom never went to Vietnam. This airplane is only painted to look like the F4 Charlie, F4C, that he did fly for Operation Bolo, and that goes along with the tail number. I catch a lot of questions about the tail number on the aircraft that is 37680. That is the way that the Air Force did it earlier on, is that they used the last 5 digits of the serial number. So yes, this airplane was definitely not built in 1937. So again, to tie in with the paint job, the F4C that Colonel Olds did fly for Operation Bolo in 1967 was 637680, and again, that was an F4C model. This airplane is a Delta model, was built in 1965. This one's real tail number is 650749. So, and she spent a lot of time in Europe. So any of you Phantom flyers that spent time at Spagnalam or Torrejon, Bentwaters and Woodbridge, that's where this airplane spent most of her life in Air Force service. So 650749, that's this Phantom's tail number. And another question I see a lot, or a comment I see about this being a restoration. No, this is not a restoration. This has always been a flyable Phantom ever since the Collings Foundation has acquired it. Now, it's been a few years since the last time she'd flown. I believe her last flight was in 2019. And because of a B-17 crash late that year and obviously COVID happening, a lot of the aircraft sat parked. So, and this being one of them. So we picked back up with the maintenance in 2022 and have been steadily working to get her back to flight status. One of the Phantoms were already maintenance intensive airplanes, even back during military service, and it's a lot of maintenance still today, even though we don't have to maintain any of the combat systems or the radar and some of the old avionics. But we still have a lot of work to do, and a lot of airplanes do not like to sit parked for a long time. So that's why that has led to a lot of the maintenance. So hope that answers a lot of common questions for you guys. Also, update on the F100. All right, just ran over here real quick to the Vietnam War Flight Museum nearby, where our F100 is kept. And good news here, the leak on the accessory gearbox back on the engine has been fixed. So the airplane's been put back together. She had a good test run earlier in the week. So this should be going back into the sky here real soon. So I anticipate maybe in the next few weeks there will be a flight with the F100. I'm going to leave a link to Jet Jared's channel. He just recently did a video about the F100 where they go into a lot more detail behind what's going on with the engine. So I'll leave a link up here as well as in the video description below for you guys to check out. So, all right, let's get back over to the Phantom hangar and get this gear swing going.
All right, so obviously you're in the cockpit. You're going to be hands out, physically out of the cockpit until we ask you to touch something or manipulate something. Left aux air door lock is removed. Stay away from it. No reason to be over there anyway. The whole purpose of this swing is to just verify the rigging on the small outer gear door there on the right side. Al's going to be down there checking that with me. JP and I will be on headsets. Once we get everything up and going, we're going to have you service a little bit into utilities through the mule, right, so that we know we got it good and full. We'll go ahead and do our first couple swings. Once we know that we've got that thing rigged and taken care of properly, then we'll go ahead and we'll bring the right throttle over the lock, and we'll go ahead and get that boost pump hit. JP and I will be under there for a little bit, and we're going to verify if we can or cannot specifically see where that fuel leak is. And after that, we'll go ahead and shut her down and should be good to go. Any questions, comments, concerns?
You need an engine master on that side too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Keep your head on the swivel.
Yeah, everybody keep your head on a swivel. This is just like the last time we did gear swings. Just stay away from the gear. Stay away from the aux air doors. You'll be fine. And if anything happens, anything goes wrong, let's just shut everything down, shut the carts down, and then we'll meet here and sort it out. All right?
Sounds like a plan.
All right, ladies, let's do it.
All right.
Master on. And crank.
In from the editing room, going to talk about what we have going on here because it's a lot more than I can just put into captions. So in order to swing the gear, the jet has to be up on jacks. You need electrical power and you need a source of hydraulic power. The Dash 60 is providing the electrical power, and the hydraulic mule that I am operating here is the source of the hydraulic power. So just got it up and running. We had warmed it up previously, so that's why it was just ready to go. Right now we are filling the utility reservoir on the jet. I am shifting one of the valves here so that the hydraulic tank will fill the hydraulic tank on the cart will fill the hydraulic tank on the mule. There's a fill pump that I just activated, and I'm holding down a valve that sends hydraulic fluid down the lines, and this is me indicating that I'm sending fluid down the lines. Will is keeping an eye on the reservoir indicator. He just indicated it was full, and I just shut that off and moved the lever back to the cart. Right now we have the flow dialed back to about 5 gallons a minute and only 2,000 psi. This is intentional because it makes the gear travel a lot slower, so we can identify any issues with the gear during its transit. When it's set to full power and when it's set to full pressure and full flow, the gear transits a lot faster than this. And you can even see the hoses flex as with the hydraulic demands of the jet. Wandering back to catch the gear on its way up, and it goes into its well, and then the inner door comes behind it, like so. Alright, so the inner door is the first thing to pop open, then the gear comes down, and both doors move together. You can see the strut is extending as the gear travels downwards. That's intentional, and that's through the shrink link, which on the way up pulls the gear up tight so it can fit into the recess. All right, that went well, we recognize where we need to make a slight adjustment on that door. So that's what we're doing now before we light everything back off again and do a couple more swings and make sure she's adjusted right. All right, back with the voiceover, and we just made some adjustments to the little door. So it should sit flush with the bottom edge of the wing there and the gear door that it sits with. So looking good so far. And we're about to send the gear back down. Here it comes. It's looking pretty good. And again, this is a lot slower than how it would normally traverse. Here in a few minutes, we're going to turn the cart up to full power, full pressure, and full flow that the jet needs. Good shot of the nose gear here. I think we're about to send it back up. There she goes. And I'm pretty sure we have the cart set for full pressure at this point. We're just checking over everything. Here's the auxiliary air doors, and these things are particularly dangerous because they're supposed to close within half of a second, and they follow the position of the gear handle. What makes them especially dangerous is if you lose electrical power on the jet, but you still have hydraulic pressure. Those doors will default to the closed position, and they will take off anything that happens to be in the way, and that includes fingers and hands. All right, testing the flaps. Now, this is something unique for the older Phantoms, and this is known as a hard wing Phantom because it had leading edge flaps. And you'll see here in a second when I crawl underneath that it is hinged from the forward surface of the wing. There's no gap that would make it a slat. Slat wing came later on the Echo models. And also on the hard wing Phantoms, you had this boundary layer control system that would blow bleed air from the engines across the upper surface of the wing to help with to keep the wing from stalling at high angles of attack. All right, dialing back the pressure. We're getting ready to shut down the cart. Going to bypass and throttling down the engine to let it cool. This is an air-cooled gas engine that runs this cart. And we are done with our tests. So back to the hangar. All right, everybody, we're at the point where we're starting to put the toys away. Just got all the hoses off and the electrical cable off the Dash 60. And everything's good to go here. Ignore that little puddle behind me. That's just us bleeding the utility hydraulics, getting the air out of the system. And somebody forgot to have the catch can, but we got some pig mat down. Anyway, with the gear door here, this is the little door that needed to be adjusted a little bit so it sits properly with the bigger door here that's attached to the strut, and then also sits with the inboard door. So cycled it a few times. Everything's looking fantastic. That was the last item on the landing gear. That's another item off of our hit list. So that's one step closer to flight. It's getting a little bright. Anyway, so yeah, that's another step closer to flight, which we're getting excited for. So that should be happening soon, I hope. I know there's been questions about high-speed taxi. We need the ejection seats back in order to do that. We don't need ejection seats in to do a taxi or any ground runs or afterburner checks or anything like that. But yeah, we need the seats in for the high-speed taxi. Those are still getting worked on. I don't have any details on that right now. But we're getting closer. We're getting closer, and we're getting excited, and I know a lot of you guys are getting excited too. So stuff to look forward to. All right, guys. All the equipment is safely back inside. The jet's going to stay up on jacks, even though we're done with the landing gears there. She's going to stay up on jacks. It's a lot easier to get underneath. Video bomb! Ah, there's Will. Anyway, yes, she's going to stay up on jacks. It's a lot easier moving around underneath the aircraft, and to get to the where the fuel leak is. It's a minor leak. We got to change out one of the seals on engine 2, and after that's done, she can come back down. And we're done with that item as well. So anyway, thanks for your guys' interest. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.